Hey, what's going on, guys? We are back with a 0 hour, getting ready for Aries Fight Series 6. My favorite show that we do here is our betting preview. So we get to bring in our guy, Cody Saftic. Of course, I'm joined also by Jeff Hobbs, Greg Hopkins. We get ready for Aries 6 this weekend. It's April 16th from Chattanooga, Tennessee, Camp Jordan Arena. And we got 4 pro fights to talk about. Of course, the action will be at Action 24/7. That's the sports book that you can catch the odds there. Greg, hit them with the promo code so they get a little extra scratch.
Guys, log on to Action 24/7. Just your first deposit, put in promo code Aries, and they'll match you up to $400 right now, 100%. So you can play with $800 this weekend.
Use promo code Aries at Action 24/7. Let's jump into it, guys. 4 pro fights to go over, and coming off the heels of the last event, we had some fights that were very close. Cody, if you recall, that Avamai and Austin Carter fight ended up being a lot closer than a lot of people thought it would be. If anything, it kind of I think elevated Austin Carter's stock a little bit. This card's no different. We'll lead things off with the featherweights. We've got Fred Freeman taking on Zach Hicks. Fred Freeman 3-3, Zach Hicks 5-4. Hicks out of that National MMA camp there, just up the road from Chattanooga, about 2 hours. And then Fred Freeman coming all the way from St. Louis. Freeman is the underdog here at plus 200. Zach Hicks is the favorite, minus 250. So minus 250 for Zach Hicks, plus 200 for Fred Freeman. They got the total on this one set at 1.5. With the over plus 120, the under 1.5 juiced up to minus 140. Cody, kick us off.
Yeah, I got to go with Zachary Hicks here. I mean, again, you got a 9-fight veteran on the plus side of 500 record with a 5-4 record. He's fought in a decent level of competition. But again, it looks like somebody who's going to be versatile enough, well-skilled enough. And for Fred Freeman, well, this is what it comes down to, is that he's got that grappling and that wrestling, right? And against a guy like Fred Freeman, he's been brought in as the opponent more times than not, generally struggles in the grappling department. Of course, people will probably remember him if they remember him from the Baby Slice fight back in Bellator. And again, you got Kimbo Slice's kid takes you down and rear naked chokes you all in the span of under 2 minutes. It's not exactly a great look, but again, it is Bellator. They do bring him back again. He fought Aaron Chalmers. Even his other loss, Asaf Askar, they're all submissions. Generally shows a bit of that lack of grappling. So I would think that more often than not, this fight is going to be spent in those grappling exchanges, spent with that wrestling, and I do give that advantage to Zachary Hicks. So I think he'll be a little bit stronger, better cardio, and just eventually slowly break his man down and then hunt for the submission victory.
All right, so Cody likes Zach Hicks here. Jeff, Zach, from your neck of the woods there in Nashville, a guy you've known for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for me, the intriguing part is everything Cody said was pretty much spot on. Hell, it was all the way spot on. But, for me, the intriguing part is the layoff for Zach Hicks. He had a very serious knee injury, a lot of rehab. So it'll just be interesting to me to see, how much he trusts that knee in this fight. He's always talking about really wanting to show off his hands too. So, just interested to see where this fight goes, how long Zach keeps it standing. Does he trust the knee? And just see what he looks like after a year out of the cage.
Yeah, another thing that I actually like about this fight as well is that you've got Freeman's been off. It's actually a longer layoff for him. But when you think about Zachary Hicks, I'm sure you guys have seen the movie Here Comes the Boom, right? Yeah. That's what it reminds me of. You've got a high school teacher. He's gritty. He coaches the high school team. He's got that wrestling base. Both of his knees redone. Wants to test himself. Come in there and do the damn thing. How could you not root for this guy, right? So I'm pumped up. And I'll admit, this is my 3rd time doing the preview show with you guys, and you're at Camp Jordan Arena now. I'm a Cotton Eye Joe guy. So
that's right. So your first Camp Jordan show, yeah.
I don't know if kids can get into Cotton Eye Joe, but there's a better chance they can get into Jordan Arena. So maybe he'll have some fans in attendance giving that extra push, and wrestling's the name of the game more often than not, so hopefully he can get it there. But this is a cool dynamic. This guy seems like a good personality.
Greg, wrap us up here on this one.
Last time I got to see Zach Hicks out was at Cage Fury down there in Tunica, Mississippi, and he really struggled to get that takedown in that fight, and he ended up losing via decision. And I remember talking to Zach after that fight, and he was going through a lot of stuff in his personal life. This is, pre knee, and I knew he was going there. He was like questioning things, literally talking to him, when we was trying to prep him up after he lost. But when you lose, you're just so down. You don't give a shit what anybody says. And he just said, man, I got a hot wife. I got a good kid. Got a great job. I don't got to do this anymore. And I just looked at him and said, you're going to do it again one day. And I'm really fucking excited to see him back. I can't tell you because I've got to train with him over there at Nashville MMA multiple times, and dude's a fucking horse. I mean, to be as small as he is and as strong as he is, I'm so glad he didn't go away from it, dude, because like him coming back to Chattanooga to fight right here against a 2-time Bellator vet, dude, I'm excited to see this right here and see Zach get this win. That's what I'm excited to see.
All right. I think the 1.5 rounds is interesting because, Fred Freeman's kind of a kill or be killed kind of guy. So, he's either going to knock you out quick or he may get finished quick. And Zach, on the other hand, is a guy that has gone deeper into his fights in the past, for better or worse. If it goes to a decision, he's usually on the better side of it. But then he's been finished in the third round a couple times. So it'd be interesting to see if we get that late. Let's go to the next one. This one, to me, is one of the more intriguing ones because the records are skewed, yet it's a closer fight, I think, than what you would expect. Middleweight action up next. We've got Garrett Gross taking on Dewitt Dixon. This fight is at 185 pounds. And, of course, as you can see the odds here, as Jeff has posted for us, Gross is the favorite, minus 175, with Dixon coming back at plus 140. The total 1.5, over 1.5, plus 120, under 1.5, minus 155. I think the story here is maybe, you look, I didn't say the records. Garrett Gross is 12-10. Dewitt Dixon only 1-1, so a lot more experience there for Garrett Gross, which I think is would initially lead someone to think that he's a massive favorite in this fight. But I think the fact this fight is happening at a heavier weight and the athleticism of Dixon starts to level out that playing field a little bit. We'll go in reverse order this time, Greg. You train with Garrett Gross at Agogi, so you can give us a little insight here on this one.
Yeah, Garrett's a good dude. I love Garrett, man. He's a newcomer here to Agogi. He's been around for a couple of years, actually, just off and on throughout working and whatnot out of town and coming in. Dude, Garrett's a real deal, man. 12-10 doesn't tell the story. I mean, this guy's been in contender series. He's been here. He's been there, and he's hard to deal with in the practice room. I haven't got to be with him that much. I've been busy, but like, dude, I'm telling you, he really is a total package. He's ranked, top 2 fighters in 2 different states right now. But Dewitt Dixon, dude, like that's a big guy. And I know that we said that Garrett, in his previous interview, he's fought light heavyweight a lot. Well, this guy, Dewitt, has fought heavyweight as an amateur right now, and he's a big guy. I think that once we see this weigh-in right here, we're going to see a big, huge size difference in these two. I don't know who I got right now. I mean, I'm obviously going to have a biased opinion and be picking Gross right here, but he's fighting the number 5 guy out of South Carolina right here, and he was an undefeated amateur too. Tough guy, like you said. I don't think the lines are skewed. I think the lines are right, but this is going to be a good fight right here.
Cody.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit interesting because, again, like Greg mentioned, he did fight as a heavyweight as an amateur, but his last fight, it shows him clocking in 182.6 pounds for a middleweight bout. Garrett Cross, meanwhile, has fought up at 205 pounds, and yet he fought his last fight with Aaron Heinfeld at 182.8 pounds. Both guys are not even filling out the middleweight limit. It's going to be really interesting to see them on the scales and see what the size advantage looks like, but come on, you're going to give me a 22-fight professional veteran against a guy that's got 2 pro fights? You're giving me a guy that's been fighting for nearly a decade or past a decade versus a guy that's been fighting professionally since 2021? Like, oh man, I would think Garrett Gross has got a lot of experience in there, and that should be able to help him out. Just glossing over his record, he's got losses to Marcus Aurelio, who's a UFC and Pride veteran. By the way, he was 2-2 at the time. Aurelio's 21-10. Who signs up for these fights?
Right.
Guys that are ballsy, they want it, right? This guy's been a fighter his entire life. He'll step up. I think he's only 5'9". Think about him fighting at middleweight. Think about him fighting at light heavyweight. He's clearly a fighter. But anyways, fight Marcus Aurelio. He's got a decision loss to Bilal Muhammad, currently a UFC star. He's got a loss to Chris Heatherly, UFC veteran. He's got a loss to Roosevelt Roberts on the Contender Series. Obviously went on to fight in UFC. His record looks 12-10. Doesn't look that good. Very easily could go the other way. It's just he stepped up to the plate on numerous occasions, and he's learned a couple things in there. So I would like to give him the advantage. Dewitt, meanwhile, Dixon, he was an undefeated amateur, but his amateur opposition does look a little bit soft. I know some of the records are 4-2, 5-0, but they're also against soft opposition. As a pro, he wins his debut and then gets absolutely melted by Dumas. But SD Dumas is a hell of a prospect, so I want to give him a pass. He's the same thing. Obviously, he's eager. He wants to step up to the plate. He's 32 years old, and yet he just turned pro. They both want it, but I got to lean on experience. So size could mean the difference, and we'll see at the weigh-ins exactly how much the size advantage will be on either side or the discrepancy. But I think in the end, it should be the experience that outright takes it over. So I'm going to go with Garrett Cross to get the job done.
Jeff, wrap us up here. These are two guys that you don't have a whole lot of background on, but have kind of started to get to know Gross a little bit with interviews and whatnot.
Yeah, and look at him, Dixon. I mean, he's definitely an athlete. Going back to that example, Cody gave with early in Gross's career, being 2-2 and fighting a guy with 20 plus. Well, Dewitt is now in that same position, and you saw how it went when Gross was there. So anything can happen. It could happen. Maybe this is the fight for Dixon that he is Gross back then, in that same position. So the size difference, because we talk about how high they have fought. Gross could, what do you say when we talk to him, Tim? He's made 55, or he could get
55, yeah.
Made 55. So, I mean, he's gone way the other way too. Just from a visual, I'm going to be interested in the size difference between the two. But I feel that this one's going to be a lot closer. So the over, kind of intrigues me on this one. If I were leaning a certain way, I think I might try to get some money in that over, a little value there.
Yeah, I can see that actually. If neither guy is able to really to establish any kind, if Gross is the more skilled, experienced guy, but can't necessarily move Dixon around that quickly, maybe we get a little bit longer into it. Co-main event. This one is a pick'em, guys. I like it when we get pick'ems. That means I'm doing my job okay. So we've got Will Banks taking on Pat Crumpton, lightweight fight. Now we've seen Pat Crumpton before. He was last time out, got the win over Dreon Martin and moves to 4-1. Will Banks will be the first time he's fought with us. I'm excited to have him. I know of him because he's just down south in Georgia. So I've seen him coming up as an amateur, very highly decorated amateur with NFC title and a few other titles down there as well. 3-2. He does take this on short notice, so that makes things a little interesting. Originally supposed to be Dalton Atha, a teammate of Dewitt Dixon, was supposed to come fight Crumpton, and he pulled out about 2 weeks ago. So Banks, he did just fight though in March, and so it wasn't like he's coming straight off the couch. He was in shape to compete just about a month ago. So this one's an interesting. A pick 'em -110 either way. The total also 2.5 -110 either way. That's what you like to see. Cody, I'll let you lead us on this one.
Yeah, so I went with Crumpton last time, and he did exactly what you want him to do. Throw the overhand right, backs the opponent up against the cage, shoot the takedown, pull the hips right from under him, establish top control, fish for submissions, and he does exactly that. And it was a good little performance. It was a solid little outing for him. I think he's going to be one of these grindy Darren Elkin types guys that could put a wear on you. He obviously does want to get the fights to the ground, and he obviously wants to kind of tax your cardio a little bit. But Dreon Martin, 1-7 in his MMA record, professional boxer, had openly said he didn't want to really take any more MMA fights beyond this Crumpton bout. He was going to go back to boxing. One's got to wonder if that wasn't just like a perfect tailor-made opponent for Crumpton to go out there and establish that kind of game plan against. This William Banks, meanwhile, he looks like he's going to be a problem. I mean, the NFC organization over in Georgia is a fantastic group of fighters. He went through, I think a pretty extensive amateur run with them, went like 6-1, lost his last fight, turns professional. His losses as a pro, Reggie Mack and Angel Mercado, not exactly bad. And you see even in his wins, it's a lot of 0-0. He's got one guy that's 2-13. Doesn't look like much, but this guy's a physical beast. It looks like he's a very good athlete. He is obviously seasoned and experienced. And the problem with Crumpton is if Crumpton can't get that takedown and establish that top control and get that grind going, does he have a plan B? Like, could he go back to something else? Whereas there's a good chance that Banks has good enough wrestling to keep the fight standing. And I think when the fight is standing, Banks is going to take over and eventually force his hand. So I got to go with Banks on this one. Sadly, got to go against my guy Crumpton here. He definitely delivered last time. And I think a similar game plan could yield a lot of success. But Banks, for my money's worth, looks like a pretty solid enough prospect. And I expect him to keep rising in the sport.
Great.
Just basically everything that he just said right there, Cody just said, is just spot on. It's an even pick'em fight right here. And like he said, the NFC is one of the top-notch promotions in Georgia. So, and he ran through them in the amateur ranks. So I'm just excited to see him fight something like this, and we get to see a step up from Crumpton. But I'm gonna be the I'm gonna have to go with Crumpton on this one right here, though. I think this is a hell of a fight. I do think it ends up going to decision because I don't think either one of these guys are going to get finished here. I don't know because the submission, but I'll have to take Crumpton on this, and I'm excited. So we're gambling now.
Jeff, we got to talk to Will Banks on the show last week, and that was a lot of fun. And of course, we've known Pat for a few years. What's your take here?
Yeah, we talked to Will Banks the other night. Charismatic dude, you can't help but like him, and his energy. I was excited for this fight already, even before the odds came out, because I think we knew it was going to be a close fight. I was excited, but I even got more excited meeting Will Banks and talking to him just because of the energy he brought in his bringing to this event this weekend. A lot of people after that last Crumpton fight, they almost viewed it as a negative how long it took Crumpton to get him out there. And, I've told people over and over again, I don't think that has anything to do with Crumpton. I think it just had to do with a little more fight in his opponent that night than a knock on Crumpton. And Pat, after the fight, was just, he was a lot stronger than I thought he was. He was better than I thought he was, which I think was a learning experience for Crumpton. But I don't want to say Pat's necessarily one trick pony because I look at the fight game a little differently. I look at striking, wrestling, and submission. So almost like there's three aspects there because we see a lot of guys that have wrestling, but they don't have submissions. They'll just get you down and hold you, but then don't know what to do with it. But I think Pat has the wrestling and the submissions as well. So, so I think he's got a little more than what people say, but we don't get to see a lot of stand up at all from Pat. So we don't know, like Cody was saying and Greg, if Banks can nullify some of that wrestling, and we saw Patrick have a little more trouble getting what was the guy's name last fight? Drayon.
Yeah.
Getting Drayon down for a little while or keeping him down, and if Banks gives him some resistance and it stays standing, Banks is an athlete and he's got some hands, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Straight pick him across the board for a reason. If we didn't have Trevor Peak on this card, this main event's any other card that we've put together this year. So excited for this fight.
Main event, that is the aforementioned Trevor Peak, another guy that we've already seen here. The current Aries welterweight champion put away David Robbins in spectacular fashion last time out, maybe even a lot quicker than a lot of people expected. Well, heck, half the people probably didn't expect it at all, I'd say. So that was a signature win for Trevor Peak, moving to 4-0. He's a finishing machine, as we've seen, just a different level of animal in this guy. He is going to be taking on Warren Smith. Warren Smith, not the most glamorous record, we won't lie here, at 8-13. One could look at this as like a step backwards for Trevor, but at the moment, Warren's got some heat behind him. Warren coming off of a big win over the guy right below me here, Greg Hopkins. Who we're going to go to him first to get his take because Greg has actually fought both Warren Smith and Trevor Peak, so he's been in the cage with both guys. And so I'm excited to get his take on this one. Big odds, though, on this one. Trevor Peak -500. Warren Smith comes back at +400. I'm not really surprised by the odds because with the records and whatnot. What's interesting to me is, Warren has shown obvious power with a knockout over Nate Williams, Hopkins, another few good knockouts over, notoriously guys with good chins. stylistically, Trevor will likely oblige him in this style of fight. So I think that, plus 400 back on Smith is about right, I figure. There is certainly that power potential there. The total is over 1.5 is plus 200, the under 1.5 minus 250. The second biggest favorite on the board is the under here. Greg, lead us off. You've been in the cage with both these guys. Not trying to talk shit about you in the least, but
No,
you felt the punching power from both guys. You've been in there, although at various stages of your career. Your last amateur fight was peak.
Yeah. Last amateur fight was with Trevor, and we went to the 4th round, and I was a little bit more prepared for that one than I was for the Warren. I took the Warren on 8 days' notice. Nonetheless, took the fight knowing that he was 7-13 fighter, and maybe didn't train as hard or as well as I should have coming off of a fucking 8-month layoff from an LCL tear. But I do remember talking to Trevor about the fight, and he was asking me if he thought it was the best idea, and I said maybe not, but I mean the guy's 7-13. And Trevor looked at me and goes, you better be fucking training like he's 13-7 or something, Greg. Like, because he goes, you got to take this shit serious. And I learned a big valuable lesson that day. Warren Smith does have some punching power. And, I thought he wanted out of there in the first round against me until he was ended up on mount. And then he just found a breath of life and I ran out of gas and he took me. Trevor is a different kind of animal. Trevor's been going to the gym. Trevor's been learning and putting together his jiu-jitsu game. I don't think there's going to be a doubt in my mind that Trevor wins this fight, because while I see Trevor out there pulling sponsors, and I swear to God, the guy's got 40,000 sponsors. I swear, dude, like you're going to see him decked out. And he ain't going to lose in front of all them sponsors, not in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He will have his Alabamians there. I promise you that. The reason I think Trevor wins this fight, though, more than the other reasons, is that Warren Smith just got married last weekend, man. I mean, he's supposed to be on a honeymoon right now. Like, poor timing on getting married. Like, you need to be devoted to this main event fight here in Aries 6. I see Trevor wanting it more right now. I see him going and doing bigger things. I'm not knocking Warren Smith. I mean, he's got to win over me. I can't say nothing about him, but I just see Trevor Peak being getting the finish in the first round here.
Well, the win bonus may pay for a nicer honeymoon. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say, Tim. I was like, that's motivation enough. I got a honeymoon to pay for.
What's the win bonus? What is it?
Oh, you wouldn't know, would you?
Yeah, I hadn't seen one of those in a while.
No, because I'm not in the fight. I'm not fighting, so I wouldn't know.
All right. Jeff, here, what's your take here?
I stay away from the leans on anything. I mean, I think the odds are evident the way this fight should go. For me, being a co-owner of the promotion and an announcer at the event, I'm just excited because if Trevor Peak's on the card, it's a Trevor Peak party. And his ticket sales are through the roof. That means there's going to be a lot of energy, and that's the way you want to end the show. And I'm excited just, for the electricity and the energy that's going to be there that night. Warren Smith is always, going to have a puncher's chance. He is a tank. He has got some guns on him, and he hits hard. So there's always a chance there. I think it's absolutely irrelevant what Trevor's ground game is like right now, because unless one of them takes a knee, I don't think anybody's going to the ground in this fight until the fight's being called, probably until there's a referee standing over somebody waving it off. I think it's the only time it's going to the ground. But man, I'm excited. This is awesome. I'm so glad we got, Trevor wasn't originally supposed to be on this card when we, first were putting it together. We really wanted him. It worked out, and I couldn't be happier that this is how we're going to end the night, with a rabid crowd at an Aries fight.
Cody, final take of the show. Are these odds too wide, or is Peak what you would consider parlay material?
Yeah. I think Peak is what you would probably consider parlay material. Looks like he's got a really bright future. 4-0 now. He needs to fight more fights just like this against seasoned opposition, guys that are dangerous, guys that he does have to take seriously. But you can see this guy landing on the Contender Series within the next 12 months. He's rapidly developing. I believe he is at a new gym in Alabama as well. He had changed camps.
Well,
and you saw in his last fight against Robbins. There you go. And you saw it in the Robbins fight. See, that one was a toss-up. It was about a 50-50 pick-em. So far, 2 preview shows, I'm 4-1.
Yeah.
One loss is Trevor Peak, because you don't bet against Trevor Peak. That's what I learned that night. The guy is just a wild man. And you can see it on the tape that he is very raw, very green in some spots, but he's just got relentless aggression. And even when it appears that he's fatiguing a bit, his opponent is just far more tired because of that pace. You can't keep up with this guy. You can't keep that damage going. He's one of these guys that's just going to be coming at you 100%. It looked like he's making a lot of improvements. He's still young. It seems like he's talented enough. And Robbins was supposed to be that guy. Robbins, a BJJ black belt, American Killer Bees, Kentucky, was well-traveled, well-trained, had some personal issues that maybe hampered his own shot on the Contender Series, but even had a good management company behind him. You see Ruby Sports Management say, we want to jump on the Trevor Peak train now, baby. And you want to get behind a guy like this, right? So bigger and better opportunities do lie for him. But I got to say, you can't just overlook a guy like Warren Smith. Like, this is good matchmaking. On the outside looking in, somebody would tell you, they got a 4-0 undefeated prospect. It gets a guy that's 8-13, and he's a -500. That doesn't tell the story. First and foremost, again, when you talk about experience and a guy like Garrett Cross that has so much experience, well, you have the same thing here in Warren Smith. His first amateur fight was 2011, I think. So, yeah, 2011 is his first amateur fight, and it's in Thailand. The guy's like, he's been around the block for 12 years as an amateur, turns pro 2013, that's 9 years as a professional. Beyond that, has fought some guys. But interestingly enough, and this is why I got nothing but respect for Greg Hopkins, because little Cody would have got knocked the fuck out too. This guy packs serious heat, man. It's not just that win. He knocks out Nate Williams. Nate Williams has only ever been knocked out twice, okay? Once by Warren Smith, once by your guys' boy Demir Ferdogobovich. Tank engine, man. The guy's an absolute beast of a man. So you knock out over Nate Williams, impressive. This Guy Curry, same thing. Guy Curry's never been knocked out in his professional career, other than when he stepped in there with Warren Smith, in which he got caught in 1:25. He packs a whole lot of heat. Now, against somebody that's going to play it smart, not overlook him, not engage him, slowly take their time, break him, tire him out, and then when he's not as dangerous, that's when you can kind of put the pedal to the metal. Those guys are going to beat him. The thing with Trevor Peak doesn't tend to fight on his game plan. He fights these entertaining game plans where he just tries to break you, and that could get him in trouble. Because I'm sure you guys will remember it, but if you tape study on Trevor Peak, he's got that fight with Chris Mims, and Chris Mims got excellent Muay Thai, but Mims stuns him a few times. Like, nobody's superhuman. You can't just walk through guys' shots. And then this could be a case where Peak got to mind his P's and Q's, and he gets this win. But if he just thinks, oh, man, I'm coming off a huge win over Robbins where I just walked right through his punches and knocked him out, I'm just going to do the guy's 8-13. Guy's 8-13. Sometimes you don't get up for those fights quite as much. And then when you make that mistake, such an unforgiving sport. Like, you're splitting hairs, right? It's a game. I know football's a game. Any sport thing really is that. That one mistake, you didn't quite get your head out of the way. You didn't quite get your hands up. You didn't quite get the timing on something, and you get caught clean in the face. So I got Trevor Peak, no doubt about it. But when you're talking about a -500 favorite, that's when you got to think, well, what could go wrong? And in this instance, what could go wrong is he's facing a guy with a tremendous amount of power, and he might just meet him up in the center of the ring and say, let's throw down. That wouldn't be the easiest path to victory. But I learned my lesson from going against Trevor Peak the last time, so ain't going to do that again. The guy's a beast. I think he's got a promising future. I think he gets the W here.
All right. That is, man, that's spot on, really. It's the thing I've been saying the whole time is, the type of fight that Warren excels in is the type of fight that Peak is likely to give him. So, who's to say Peak could surprise me and take him down. But, typically Peak is looking to throw down and put on a show. That engages Warren in the avenue to victory that is best for him. So I think it's going to be fireworks. I think Peak is the deserved favorite here as well, but certainly stylistically should be entertaining. That's going to do it, guys. That's our 4 fights. We are we're getting ready to throw down this weekend, Saturday. This is for Aries 6 at the Camp Jordan Arena, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Get your tickets at fightertix.com. Catch your pay-per-view Expectation Sports. Hopefully you'll be tuning in. Cody, this UFC fight Saturday doesn't look to be too much more entertaining than what we've got, I don't think. And so it should be a good time. Again, you can get the odds at Action 24/7. Make sure you use that promo code Aries for your match bonus. Cody, before we let you go, where can people find your social media and your own shows? I must encourage everyone out there to follow Cody on his social media and and his YouTube channel, because this guy is the man when it comes to picking some fights. We didn't come through this last week, but we made a lot of money with Cody the several weeks before, so you can't complain. Cody, where can they tag along behind you?
Yeah, we got killed on UFC 273, but we're hoping to rebound here on Aries FC6. That's the way we're going to try to get things down because, I love tuning in, watching the fights, man. I always shoot you messages during the fights. And again, this is a weekend that's got a UFC and a Bellator, but I definitely got to put some time aside for Aries. The guys want it. The guys are fighting for a passion, right? I'm sure it's not your regional, it's any regional scene. The money's not quite there. You're trying to build a resume to get to the bigger shows, to get to the UFC. Then you're going to chase the real payday. And what you'll see is a lot of these times, these guys are in their 30s. They're 32. A guy, he's a high school wrestling coach and a teacher, and he's got 2 blown out knees, but he's competing because of the desire. Those often lead to these amazing fights, great scraps. And of course, Tim, you guys do a fantastic job of matching them up with evenly and good, competitive bout. So I'll be tuning in most definitely. Again, if you want to catch me, Twitter at CJ Saftic. You can definitely check me out on YouTube, CJ MMA. Always putting up preview predictions for all the other organizations. Hopefully I can make you $1. If not, hopefully we can have a good time, break down some fights, and I can give you a couple good leans. Guys, always a pleasure joining you. So thanks for having me on. And hopefully we can do it in person one of these days.
Yeah, man. Stay tuned, guys. Got some big announcements coming up here. I guess right after this show next week, we'll start dropping some bombs on y'all. Got some big things in the work. Hopefully we get Cody down here for it. And till next time, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Give us a like, a subscribe, all that good shit. Till next time, I'm Tim Lloyd for Cody Saftic, Greg Hopkins, Jeff Hobbs. We'll see y'all on the flip side.